We are
on a
going
Tuesday.
live.
What's up, JL? And what's up, everybody? Guys,
We're
this
live.
is we are here. We're gonna be planning our morning show for tomorrow. We go through and we try to lay out a rough schedule of what the morning show is going to look like, what we're talking about, what topics we're covering, new segment ideas. And we figured who better to help us out with that than the people that are watching the show, the FYF chat. So if you guys have input or you just want to hang out, see how we do it, see what we're doing here, welcome in, and we're glad to have you.
Oh no, we're talking somewhere on my computer.
You've
I
got
hear you
window open
talking.
with us.
Oh, there it is.
There was that one time on the morning show where all of a sudden it started screaming Dante Pettis in my ears, and I thought it was the drop. Like I thought Keith was playing a drop, and I reacted, and you and Coop looked at me like I was insane, like
That's
out
hilarious.
of my mind, off my rocker.
It has since happened.
It has since happened 3 or 4 times, but now I know. Look for another window first. Like when sound starts playing in my ears, don't assume Keith's messing with me. Go look for the other window.
There's been a few times on that morning show where we're just like, all three of us are like sitting there making some face because something's playing in our ears or someone's yelling at us.
Greg and you had a first idea, said when it is a really sad week due to bad games, injuries, etc., you should call it the FYF morning show.
Ooh, I like that idea.
Craig. And Dustin said second idea, we need new commercials. Simon doing Chewbacca should be one. And we'll get you some more. We'll get some more sound bites. If you guys have things you think should be commercials, let us know, and we'll pass it on to the producers. They get that done.
And I really want to do some like recorded commercials, like funny ones.
That would be funny. Like some. Did you ever watch Better Off Ted?
No, you told me to watch it 1,000 times.
I know, but just for the commercials, like they do gritty and dynamic.
We've had that. Yeah, we've had that idea for the longest time. Use stock footage and narrate over it. Maybe we'll do it this weekend.
Let's do it. Let's put one together this weekend. I'm free Saturday all day until nighttime when we're doing spooky things.
All day until nighttime. Joey's idea, third idea, replace Coop with a sock full of jelly. Grape jelly?
Yeah. And Craig says you can do a lot of things with a sock full of jelly.
Disgusting, Greg. Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth.
I had this guy show up at summer camp one time who was like responsible for singing songs for all the campers. And he had a song that went, some people like grape jelly, some people like apple jelly, but the kind of jelly that I want in my belly is petroleum jelly. And he sang a whole song about, and then there was a whole line in there. He's like, this part of the song is a legal disclaimer due to somebody eating petroleum jelly after I performed at a summer camp. Obviously a bit in the song, but as a 7th grader, I feel like that part went over my head. I was just cracking up because he said, let's eat petroleum jelly.
That's hilarious. Dustin's saying, real idea, is there a way for the three of you to play Weddle on the show? I have been thinking about this, Simon. I almost mentioned it to you today. It's like popped into my mind multiple times over the last week, and it's always at night when you're asleep. So that might be fun. We can't share our screen is the only issue.
Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah. With the current system that we're working with BSN, we can't share our screen on that show. But maybe we could play without sharing our screen somehow. Might just suck.
Yeah, it might just suck. I do the Wordle and the Quirtle every day. I should start doing the Weddle as well. I've just been missing out on that one, but I would love to do some of those live. That would be a lot of fun.
Do you think we could play tomorrow live?
But we can try it. We don't have the visuals, but we can still try it if we want to. Get some help from the chat as well.
I feel like we could probably do that in the first part. So to give everyone kind of like an overview of how we're looking at the show, we're really not going for a fantasy, just a straight fantasy sports like talk show. Not just like we're not just going for what you normally see out there. We want to create something where the whole point of the show is to be fun, engaging, good time with analysis. And so we're trying to, like, the way that we kind of look at the show and the programming of it is to create a flow of fun with advice. So we want to provide value, of course, answer questions, be there, but you can't really get questions anywhere. You can really get advice anywhere, right? Like there's a million places you can go get your fantasy questions answered. And so that's kind of the lens we're looking through. And so this first segment that we've been playing with is the bring your own breakfast concept, working name, working title. But the concept there is like, it's 7 a.m., 6 a.m. for Simon. Most of you are probably not waking up at 7 and going, I'm ready for a bunch of stats. And so
except this morning, people came in bright and early, 7 a.m. They were like, who do I start? Just like, I can't even speak yet. But usually you're right, JL. Like you wake up in the morning, you want to get eased into the day talking with your buddies.
Exactly. And we started last week not last week, since we started doing the show, we were kind of playing with this concept of like news, but it just felt
like I was the teacher and I was just like giving a
yeah,
lecture to you guys, and that's not what we wanted, right? Like I
yeah,
felt a little bit uncomfortable, and then for you guys, that's
a
not the
little
dynamic of
boring.
any other part of our show. Like at no other part of the show is it I'm the lecturer and you guys are the students. Yet for news, suddenly that was the vibe. Yeah, so we had to make a change. We had to figure something out, and we're still experimenting with it, with what we're gonna do here. But
Yeah, so
Jail,
that first section is kind of like anybody can bring it whatever topic they care about. The vibe of the show, the way you kind of think about this is like almost like we're all in a basement, right? Like we're hanging in the basement, right? And that's kind of to keep us from getting too serious or getting to thinking of ourselves too seriously. Um, and so this is like us arriving in the basement is this BYOB section. I don't
not
know that
just the
there's
B
much to plan
basement.
there.
Imagine you go down to the basement and your little brother and his friends are hanging out down there, like up to something always.
It's
That's the
us.
basement vibe. Like
It's
you're out doing
us.
stuff and you go down to the basement and all of a sudden they've got the couch turned upside down with a ramp built and a skateboard at the top of it. But then the next
Right.
time you go down there, they're just sitting on the couch drinking some Beelzebubs and talking about
Beelzebub.
Marvel movies or fantasy football. Also, we got Dave in here saying, I love this. Dave,
Hey,
thank you so much, my man. We always appreciate your
you
support.
sweetie, we love you.
You sweetie patiti.
Petite you.
It's that's from something. I didn't make that up.
Playing marbles in the cul-de-sac, exactly. And then Jay had an idea: put liquid paper on a bee and see what happens. What's that from again?
I know that's from something.
Anchorman? No,
It is from Anchorman. I can imagine put liquid paper on a bee. It's got to be Anchorman, right?
it's
No,
gotta
but
be
it's Will Ferrell. It's Step Brothers.
Step Brothers, of course. Anchorman.
Prestige Worldwide. Oh,
And we played the wedded one. And then Justin said, "I thought that we BYOB said bring your own breast milk. I was not going to tune in for that.
well, I mean,
Could be.
if you want it, you're gonna have to bring it yourself. We are not.
Yeah,
providing the
we're not
breast milk
providing
or
that
the
for sure.
breakfast. That falls under the breakfast purview. I think it's not an exception.
Yeah. Craig saying my favorite podcast, Matt and Mattingly's Ice Cream Social, has listeners send in names of fake sponsors and they make up a commercial spots on the fly. I love that. Ooh, I like that idea a lot.
That is fun. That is
Ooh,
something
I'm
else
gonna
we've
make
talked
note.
about is like some of our favorite moments on the show are the ones that have more of like an improv vibe to it. So Joe, that could be a fun game to mix in there.
Yeah.
Maybe we could even do some of that tomorrow if we wanted to. Also, Dustin in here with some feedback saying, I like the BYOB idea, but 40 minutes seems long. That's 20 minutes for each of you. I think it would be better if you each took turns bringing a non-football topic and being discussed for 20 to 30 minutes. So I like that, Dustin. I think like my thought process was this section kind of encompasses news plus other things we want to talk about, right? Like if we're hanging out in the basement and you come over, Dustin, we may talk about the movie we've seen or our weekend first, but at some point, I guarantee you, James Robinson being traded to the Jets is going to come up when me and you are hanging out in our basement. Like
we
without a
just got
doubt.
together. We,
Exactly.
it's the first thing. It's like the biggest news. Brees
Yeah,
Hall, torn
of course
ACL.
that's
What
going
the
to
heck?
come up. So this is a 40 minutes. Think of it as news and shenanigans in there that we're bringing. So Jail's already found some stories for tomorrow, some non-football ones, but
Yeah, one's about a woman getting eaten by a snake.
absurd.
Spoiler alert, JL.
A whole snake. Yeah, JL.
Haha.
So what's up, Sam? Sam said definitely not
Sam.
Anchorman.
No, it's Anchorman.
I think.
Because I think definitely not. I think.
But yeah, maybe it is too long. We're experimenting with the segment. So guys, as we do this, if you're watching the show and you're like, that feels like it's too long, let us know and we'll take that feedback into account.
So it's Wednesday, right? We're planning Wednesday's show. When I think about the scheme of the week in general, Wednesday, it's not a waiver day. It's not quite a start sits day. You kind of start getting into those. But Wednesday for me, at least what we've been doing has been a little more trading heavy. We have our friend Alex, peaked in high school, come on because he releases his trade value charts on Wednesday. He is not going to be on tomorrow. He is going to be on Thursday this week. So we have to figure out something else.
No, we do have a guest tomorrow. Already scheduled.
Next week.
What'd you say?
It's next week.
It's next week. Have I not checked I haven't checked my text messages yet. I'm guessing is what's going on. Yeah. I see it now. So never mind.
About that, yes?
Yeah, we can talk. Let's start hyping it up already, right?
Yeah. We got Amon Green coming on.
Amon Green's coming on the show next week, next Wednesday. We were thought it was going to be this Wednesday, but it's going to be next Wednesday.
I'm a running back for the Packers?
For the Green Bay Packers. Yep,
yeah.
exactly. I know Coop was searching through his ESPN archives looking for his fantasy teams with Amon Green on them so we could have those ready to go. And he's a fantasy guy as well. So not just NFL, but we're going to talk some fantasy with a former NFL running back. But, Jale, that's news to me that's not going to be on the show tomorrow. But you're right.
Yes.
Wednesday is a slower day, right? Week 8 hasn't yet started. The news generally slows down a little bit. We talk injuries. We talk reports. What else do you think is a necessity on Wednesdays? Do we still want to talk trade values like we do, even though Alex isn't going to be there? Do we save that for Thursday when Alex comes on?
No. Oh, yeah. Let's say I feel like trading is such an important part of the season right now. I feel like it makes sense to talk about it. Whenever Alex comes on, I feel like we end up talking trade values. We don't end up talking like other aspects of trades. And so maybe we could do something today related to trades. Maybe it's just not the trade values.
What if we do like a trading tips segment or something along those lines, like how to get a trade done? And Joe, you and I have spent
I can talk about that.
Our initial for those of you that don't know, our initial like avenue into this industry is we were trying to make one of the early things we were trying to do at Front Yard Fantasy was create a trade negotiation platform, a tool where you could go in and negotiate trades with your league mates. So we spent months and months and months just researching the psychology behind trading in fantasy football. I think that
academic research. There's a surprising amount of academic research on fantasy football. Not just on that, but it's a problem outside of fantasy. It's just
I reached out to there was a professor at a local university in San Antonio that did their like PhD. What's that paper called that PhDs dissertation? Did their dissertation on mathematical modeling of human decision making, which was like so I reached out to him. He helped me out, pointed me in the right direction for some additional papers there. But I think that could be fun to talk about tomorrow.
I got on a call with a guy from a professor from Drexel who wrote a paper in 2006 that was perfectly what we were trying to do, but in fantasy basketball, and it was a really good conversation. It's cool. But yeah, so I think trading makes sense. Do we want to do that after BYOB? I feel like BYOB is pretty open to anything. I'll take the call to action out of here now. Just visualize it. Do you think that is it too early to start talking trades?
For some reason, that screamed the back half of the show to me, but I don't know why. That's an assumption. That was just an assumption I was making.
Yeah.
I tend to, for some reason, I tend to think like the heavier fantasy topics belong towards the back half of the show, maybe because of what we talked about earlier. Like when we're getting up, we're kind of getting ramped up early in the hour and then we move that way. But maybe that's an 8 to 9 thing. Maybe it falls in that time range. Either the 8 to 8:30 slot or the 8:30 to 9 slot.
Like that. Let's put it at 8 o'clock hour, and then let's like juxtapose it with a hypothetically or like something fun that's not just so trade heavy. Like I think the trade segment will be very valuable because we have a lot to talk about in that section that I don't think is very often talked about. And I think that should be like, we should try and maybe save that for like the highest volume time. Like when are the most people tuning in?
Yeah. Also, Dave saying examples help a lot. So we got to keep that in mind whenever we're talking like these higher level, more meta conversations. Whenever we talk about like strategy, it's a great point, Dave. We should plan on having some just general examples of what we're talking about, make it more practical and applicable right away.
That makes sense. I thought he was asking for examples of the segments.
I think he was saying, because he said for everything, TBH, and he said being realistic is huge. So I think he's talking about like whenever we're talking through those trades, being realistic in trades is absolutely huge. Ooh, I already Joe, I want to get into like the endowment effect tomorrow. Start talking a little bit about that. How to try to overcome it. Like, let's get technical with some of this trade stuff. Let's talk
how to evaluate an incoming trade offer. How to properly use maybe like trade values and trade value calculators. There's a bunch of ideas I think we can dive into.
What do we call it? Tactical trading?
Trade strategy?
Trading for dummies?
Trade, big?
Trade, big.
I like it. Let's roll with it.
Hey, you want to trade? How about this? How's that for a segment name?
I like that one. Okay. But you have to say it like that when you introduce it.
Guys, right now we were going into, hey, you want to trade? How about this?
I like it.
What's up, IVT?
What up, IVT?
I'm guessing that's Seth behind there, but what's up,
I'm
Seth?
assuming. Dave's saying how to get trades done is a dope city idea, fam.
Segment.
I like the city idea. Big fan of practical and pragmatic. All right. let me ask the chat. When do you think is the best time to do the trade value? The trade, like this segment. When is the? Oh, Rosie's crying. Sorry.
Poor Rosie. Jay said top of the 8 o'clock hour.
Top of the 8.
Top of the 8. That's what he said. And Jail, that kind of lines up with what you said. And then you were saying something in between BYOB and trade values. Is that where you were saying like a hypothetically, like something a little bit looser?
Yeah, I think
something after trade values to be a little bit looser.
I don't know why hypothetically feels weird in the last hour. I feel like it's a mid-hour thing.
Yeah, I think you're right. It makes me wonder if maybe we reserve some of that time, like in between BYOB. Maybe we start the trade talks at 8:50 instead, and we save that 10 minutes to answer any questions that came in during BYOB that we didn't get to. Like 7 to 7:40 BYOB, take a break, come back in 7:45, 7:45 to 7:55. We hit some questions that were in the chat, right? Questions, do a Q&A real quick, and then around 7:55, 8 a.m., depending on how long those questions take, we then move into trade talks. We move into trade strategy. And then after trade strategy, we hit hypothetically. I kind of like going from the very serious topic into the goofy topic instead of the other way around. I feel like that that's a little bit more exciting, right? Like we get some of that, and then it's nice to like loosen up after having like a pretty serious talk.
Yeah. I like that. It's nice and balanced. And the chat questions definitely come into play here and the timing of it.
And Dustin said, I like hypothetically early, allows for callbacks later in the show. So that's good to know. So definitely before that last hour, Jail, that's what you were saying as well, that it just felt weird in that last hour. Yeah. I think you're right, Dustin. It doesn't have time to marinate. It doesn't have time to marinate or for us to like pull it back. And sometimes that's the funniest part.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right. Well, we will be hitting chat cues in the first part in the BYOB, which is worth noting. So that BYOB might just end up getting extended.
Yeah, we'll hit some of those during there. What I'm thinking is we can save some of them. Like as we're approaching that 7:40 time slot, like 7:30 on, if we start getting questions, we can save those, hit them at that 7:45 time slot. Let people know that coming right up. Like maybe that's something we need to communicate better is, hey, if you're listening, we're going to be answering questions starting at 7:45 until 8 p.m. or 8 a.m. Make sure you're sticking around, and we're saving all of these. We'll get your questions answered. Because right now it's just kind of like, I feel like if people don't hear us answer it right away, they assume we won't get to it. So maybe doing like planning that time and then communicating that to the people watching.
Yeah. Simon, give me 1 second.
Yeah, you're good.
All right.
I'll just hang out solo with these guys for a second. Hanging out on a Wednesday, except it's Tuesday, and I called it Wednesday on the stream earlier today. Did you guys hear me call it Wednesday at the end of the show? I was signing off and I said, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. And then Coop was like, it's Tuesday right there down at the bottom. Also, I see Joey in here saying, real talk, which chat should we be using? Guys, it's up to you. Both chats are valid. On the YouTube chat over there, you're hanging out with all of us people. If we're doing a giveaway or something along those lines, you're going to have to be in the Better Sports Network chat. But it's probably a little bit more fun hanging out in the YouTube right now. But both are valid, and we have access to all of the chat options. Jail, any opinion on this one?
Oh, sorry, I left my oven on. Real talk, which chat should we be using? Yeah, I mean, the choice is up to yours. We've been trying to figure out how to unify the chat experience because I know that's been missing that we had, with the game show. The best thing that we have right now is maybe FY. It's kind of separating the two. The FYF chat on the YouTube and the BSN chat because they are kind of two separate audiences a little bit, not quite all the way, but if you want to call in, you have to use the app. Is the only thing.
Yeah. So Dustin saying, I think giving the chat a dedicated time is great. It allows them to ask questions and can rewatch later if they can't stay on the whole time. That's a great point. Like if we set the expectation, we'll answer it at this time. Even if they get off, they know about where to click in that stream whenever they go back to our YouTube channel to see where the question was. Jay had an important question for me. He said, MFK, in case you don't know, that's Mary F. Kill, Grimace, Arby's Oven Mitt, Burger King. This is so easy. This is like the easiest MFK I've ever been asked.
What's it going to be?
We're effing the oven mitt, okay? Ew. Just like, come on. Like, it's just the easiest one. The oven mitt's getting effed. I'm marrying Burger King for that money Okay. And then sorry, Grimace, you're getting the axe because it may be my only opportunity because I'm assuming in this game, it just auto kills them, right? I don't think I can kill a Grimace. And I definitely can't F a Grimace. So I'm taking kill Grimace, F the element, marry Burger King.
I saw Dustin asked, do you want to do the Thursday game preview on Wednesday since Alex is on Thursday? We have 3 hours to work with on Thursday, so I'm not like pressed to move it to Wednesday. And I think people are probably a little more like just hyped to be, about that game on Thursday. I think we'll still end up probably talking about it throughout the show. But I don't know that we need necessarily a segment tomorrow on the Thursday night show. What do you think, Simon?
I'm sitting here wondering if there's a way like we do, like, is there a world where we do a player prop bracket or draft tomorrow for the Thursday game and then just do a typical game preview on Thursday, or are those one and the same?
Oh, we could do that. That could be interesting.
Like do the player prop bracket on a Wednesday. And then we can just preview the game on Thursday, talk injuries, high level stuff, just things that people need to know. Have like a need to know before Thursday night football segment on Thursday.
I just remembered that I was thinking we would do match game tomorrow too. I think Maria is going to call and she's got some match game.
I was just about to say we need a game in here. We need a game in here. Match game would be fun.
Let's do okay. So she will probably have to be 8 to 8:20ish. How long does that game usually last?
Around 20 minutes.
Around 20 minutes, right?
Yeah, it's a segment. It's one break's worth usually.
All right. Let's do match game at 8. So we'll take trade. Let's move trade strategy to maybe the 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Because 9 o'clock feels like heavy, that's when we get into it. We're up, we're ready to go.
Here, change that to 9 to 9:30 instead of 8 to 8:30, just so I can visualize it. Sorry.
And then you're good.
And then we'll 7 to 7:40. I know this is 7:45, but breaks are about 3 minutes, so we'll break right after BYOB and then roll into Ask the Chat. So then we're looking at that 8 to 8:20ish time slot being match game.
Yes. So I'll move that up, make match game. And that's from 8 to 8:20.
Yeah, let's just call it 8 to 8:20.
Dustin said, yes, match game. I'm biased since I'm one of the people.
Tell us the answer.
Yeah, if you want to be included on the
never know
on a match game, send us a DM or something. Maria will send you a prompt if you want to be included, like Dustin. Ask the chat. That's not really a segment. Fantasy football match game. Fantasy football match game at 8 to 8:20, and then 8:20 to. You think hypothetically? Should we do match game hypothetically?
That's what I was wondering. Is that too much like game back to back? But match game still has some like fantasy to it, or maybe
let's
that's purposeful.
Hypothetically then.
Not do it at all.
Well, I was gonna say maybe Thursday.
Yeah, sorry, I meant by at all. I meant on Wednesday. My only reality right now is Wednesday. There is no Thursday yet, JL.
For some reason, I feel like hypothetically more than twice a week is too much.
Say that again.
I feel like hypothetically more than twice a week is too much.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know why I don't have like a ton of data to back that up. It's just a feeling.
Jane, you're saying I wouldn't do game and hypothetically back to back, not balanced enough. But I just had that was my initial inkling as well, Jay. But then I start thinking, is it better to kind of segment our show, like even on a more macro level? Like you kind of know we're going to be talking news and answering questions from 7 to 8. We're going to be playing games and goofing around at 8 to 9. And then we're talking strategy from 9 to 10. Like that's kind of how this is breaking down right now, right? Like, and then we usually have like our football related guests, our beat reporters, our stuff like that back in that last hour as well. That's generally when they come on. Like, is that better, or is it better to just kind of keep it like football,
like balanced,
silly football, like keep it balanced throughout? I don't know.
You know what? Why aren't I in the YouTube? We should just be polling. We should just see what most people want.
I just got a text from Coop Jail that he's going to be in Denmark when Amon Green is on.
Haha.
Ha ha. He was so excited, and now he's going to be in Denmark.
What a ding dong.
My homeland, right, Jay?
Yes, you are
That's
from
where you always say I'm
Denland.
from, even though I'm from Georgia, but my family's from the Netherlands.
From Georgia.
I'm from Austell, Georgia. That's the city, the hospital I was born in.
You were so confused there for a second.
Well, it's not. Do you know what city you were born in? Not necessarily
Yeah,
the one you
Tacoma
lived in.
Park.
You knew that just off the top of your head?
Mhm.
Okay, well, I'm sorry.
See my birth certificate.
There's an Austell and an Alpharetta very near to where I grew up. So they both start with A, and I never lived in either one of them.
Okay.
So I'm
Fair
just
enough.
a little confused, okay?
Fair enough.
Joey keeps asking. He said, I don't see Muppet call in on here. When's Kermit the Frog calling in? First of all, you said Muppet earlier, and I don't think Cookie Monster's a Muppet. Correct me if I'm wrong. But Cookie Monster's on Sesame Street. That dude's not a Muppet. The Muppets are on the Muppets. But Kermit the Frog, we got to have him on. We'll have him call in sometime.
Okay, so I'm asking in the chat, should we do a mix of football and silly or segment by hour? All right. Kind of confusing if you read it and you don't know what I'm talking about, but you guys know what I'm talking about because you're here.
Dave said Cookie Monster is a cookie, Simon. And Joey said, I will correct you. He is a Muppet. I don't believe you.
Simon is from Oslo, Denmark. Is that true, Simon?
Yeah, 100% true. The city of Oslo, that's definitely in Denmark.
Dustin saying, I like balance throughout. This way, if something comes up, I don't feel like I missed all the actual info. Just get games. Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay. Like if you're tuning in for a 30-minute drive, the way our show is now, where we try to keep it balanced, you'll probably get a mix of both. Know what I mean? Like if you're just tuning in for a 30-minute window of our 3-hour show, we probably do want you to get a little bit of the football talk. So that being said, even during our silly segments, it's hard to escape the football talk, right? Like it still happens regardless because we are a fantasy football show.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. And just chat comes out throughout, and we don't want to wait. We really don't want to wait and like put all of the chat interaction in one time. Like the whole concept of the show is you guys are here with us, right? That's how we are trying. Yeah. We're trying to do a this one with this show. It's been a little harder to focus the comments as it has been in the game show because we can put comments up and with StreamYard that we can't do on this show yet. And so it's been a little tougher, but that's been a big focus of ours. It's like, making sure the chat is the center of this experience. What was I saying?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. So I like whenever we talk about like saving time for questions, that doesn't mean that's the only time we're answering questions. Like we're still going to like, especially if there's like a natural break or something like that, we're going to bring your questions up because we would rather answer them when they're asked, be part of the conversation while it's happening.
Mr. Scampers said, may I request a later show?
Yeah, me too, Mr. Scampers. We've been putting in that request for weeks.
If it was possible, Mr. Scampers, we would. Nothing makes me sadder knowing that you and Dame are sleeping.
Oh, except that I'm not.
Except that I'm not. That's true. that makes me way sadder.
No, by that 7:00 hour, by the second hour, I'm fully awake and like ready to go.
Rearing to go.
But I've told you a million times, every morning when I wake up, I tell myself the same lie every day, and I believe it 100% of the time. I'm taking a nap today. Like when this show's over,
morning people.
No, and then the show ends, and I just look at the clock, and I'm like, when am I taking a nap? I'm not. Like I'm just not. That was a lie again that you told yourself to get out of bed, but it works every morning.
Yeah. Carlos says, fam, late but here. I don't know if you pulled this one up yet. What up, Carlos? Good to see you, my friend.
Also, Dave said interacting with the chat is so valuable. One of my favorite parts of Consumer, and one of my favorite parts of the show. Like it's what I get excited about.
So boring to talk, guys. It's so boring for us to talk. We like interacting with you guys. That's why the game show is a thing.
Like you guys crack me up in the chat on a daily basis. Keeps me going on the show, keeps me excited. And like, I'm just going to be real. There's the chat. I would be so much more uncomfortable on the show without you guys in there in the chat, because it's like, when I'm a little lost, I don't know what's next. I'm feeling a little flustered. I always know I can go to the chat and Dave's in there with something he said. Craig's in there with something he said. I can just shout out the most recent Mr. Scampers comment, and it pulls it back on track, gets you back in the mindset.
This is funny. ASMR/nap segment. We should do that. And doesn't say I like the idea of a trade. I like the idea of trade strategy, but it feels out of place on tomorrow's show. It feels like something that should be on Monday or Tuesday topic because that's when most people send trade offers.
Really?
Has that been your experience? I don't
tend
know
to
that I have a
find
day.
I tend to find Wednesday, Thursday, like after waivers run and teams see what their teams look like for the week. But again, that's just my
Mondays you
experience.
can't
It's
really trade.
anecdotal. Yeah.
Mondays you can't really trade, right? Because most of your players are usually locked.
Well, you can trade. It's just not going to go through.
You can, yeah. Well, I guess some platforms it does go through. You just they stay on your roster, but at least I feel like I never send trade offers on Monday. I always just wait. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I don't respond to trade offers until the week's over. Like,
well, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's not something I do, but that's interesting, Dustin, because I made the assumption that trades was a better later week topic before the next game. But I'm curious, like, how most people view trading. Like, what day is your trade day if you're going out trying to make trades?
Yeah. Well, the beauty of this and the way that we're kind of looking at this and we're treating this is like every single day is a new opportunity to try something out. And so when we come back to this tomorrow and we look at it and we're like, all right, well, the trade strategy segment did feel out of place or what didn't get that much traction, then we adjust. So that's kind of how we're looking at it. It's just like, let's go with it and see what happens.
Mr. Skimmer said, dang it, my comments are intended for further derailments of the shows. I live for the derailments of the show. Mr. Skimmers, I live off the rails. I'm a little bit more uncomfortable when we're on the rails.
Greg said we should all try that one day. No chat comments for the first hour. See how they react. I will tilt. I'll be like, why isn't it working? Like something's broken.
Dale will get angry. You'll see it on his face.
So
You'll see his face just sink.
Oh, the chat needs to be there. What the heck are we doing? Talking for nothing. Jay said, Mr. Scampers, agent of chaos. All right, let's get back to this scheduling here. So we got BYOB in the top of the hour. Easy news segments. We're just getting warmed up, eating some breakfast, drinking some coffee. And then we hit the chat. Right?
Then we hit the chat. Yep.
Then we hit the chat.
Q&A, hit the chat. Any questions we missed during BYOB? Because we're going to be talking snakes and referees and football.
Y'all better be in there with questions, because if we get to that section, there's no questions in there.
We're just going to sit there silently for 15 minutes.
Yeah, I'm going to wait for all of you who told us to do that.
We'll wait for you guys to raise your hands whenever you're ready. Then match game after that, 8 to 8:20.
8 to 8:20 match game. Maria will call in. We'll do some props. That'll be fun.
And something I've been thinking, Jail, is like we can probably cut. Like I feel like we use breaks a little bit more early on. Like as we develop the flow of the show, I think they don't have to be as like often as they've been previously. Like we're looking at that 7 to 7:40. Probably a break after that, and then I'm not feeling another break until after match game. Like we do Ask the Chat and match game, not quite a full hour, but more than that 15 to 30 minute range that we've done in the past, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
because I kind of like the flow of that into match game instead of separating those two as well.
So you're saying break after BYOB?
Break after BYOB and then break after match game as well.
Okay. Boop. And boop. Yeah, I would like to reduce the number of commercials if we can.
Yeah.
Just because I don't know that they're that fun. Usually it's just a break for us just to use the bathroom. We all every single break, all three of us goes and poops. Every single time without fail.
I only do it if I'm confident it can be pinched off in 3 minutes.
Sometimes we are
about 20% of the time that I have that confidence.
Every once in a while, we're wrong.
Or if it's an absolute emergency. Like sometimes if one of us isn't back on after we come back from a break, there's a 99.9% chance they're squeezing out a dookie.
99, 100%. What else would they be doing?
I don't know. Maybe my dog got out and I got to go find him or something.
Oh, it's checking the mail at 7 a.m.
Very important.
That was the Simon Jacoby Brissett voice.
Maybe you left your oven on.
Maybe. Why I put something in the oven 5 minutes before a show, the world may never know.
Ooh, Dustin said idea for tomorrow's show, mid-season awards. What about? Let's take it Dustin, I like that idea, but also, Jill, what if we did a redraft of the first 2 rounds? where me, you, and Coop each took a couple different draft spots.
I like
and we
that.
went through and we redrafted the first 2 rounds of a PPR redraft league.
We used to do that on
Like,
the game show.
we did.
A decent amount, yeah.
And it was always so much fun because they're still projecting forward. There's still serious uncertainty at this time, but so much has changed. And it just leads to fun conversation as well, right? We put no timer on the pick clock. We do a 12-team league. We can even do 1 round if 2 rounds seems too long. I'm not sure what the timing would be, but I take picks 1, 4. I can't do math. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then you take picks 2, 5, 8, and 11. Coop takes picks 3, 9, 12, and.
Why are you doing this? So we just say we'll just go round robin.
That's a lot easier to say, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, good point, Joe. I was overcomplicating it.
Or snake. Are we gonna do snake?
I was gonna do snake.
Yeah, snake it.
Let's snake it, baby.
And Dustin saying, I like the redraft as well. Midseason should really be next Wednesday.
Yeah, maybe we do the redraft now, and then like we have a week to prepare some midseason awards. You know what I mean? Like that sounds like something.
Awards. Okay,
that sounds like something where I might want to like spend a little bit more time figuring out who deserves what, coming up with award ideas. I like that, Dustin. I think we save that for next Wednesday, and we have some time to start prepping. Let's start thinking about what those awards should be, guys. If you have some award ideas, let us know. We can do those. But how do you feel about a draft tomorrow? Maybe instead of hypothetically, or did we still want to do hypothetically?
And we still have 30 minutes here. You want to do it in the last half hour?
That's a fun way to end the show, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's just talk about football.
Exactly.
Here's the thing. I feel this pressure to talk matchups every week, but it feels really boring to talk about matchups. And like it feels like nobody is really like dying to hear us talk about matchups. So I don't like I think I'm fine doing a draft here and not having
I think talking about matchups is completely unavoidable. We're going to do it no matter what we're talking about.
I'm fine talking about matchups.
That's what I'm saying.
The
is
format of like going matchup by matchup.
I'm with you, Joe. That's what I'm saying is there's no need to do that because we're all going to be playing the same fantasy football game this weekend, right? And in order to do that, we're looking at the matchups. We're looking at who teams are playing. Like anything we're discussing around it, especially Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, is going to involve matchups. But I'm with you. There's no need to jump from one to the other like in a formulaic manner. That gets boring.
Yeah, maybe if we find a better way to frame it, but right now just going that way just feels like everybody does that, right?
Well, it's kind of like I liked what we did this week with Monday Night Football doing the player prop draft, right?
Yeah,
we still talked about the game. It was fun. We got to talk about players that we liked, that we didn't like, but it wasn't just going through like, and who do you think's going to win this game? And who is the best wide receiver? And are you starting David Montgomery? Like, I don't know. That gets stale. Like you hear different people say the same thing over and over and over again. Yeah. So I think just figuring out different ways to do it. Like, don't think of it as we don't want to talk matchups. We're going to talk matchups. Just how do we do it without it being jumping from one to the other? Just like, and now we talk Bears, Patriots. And now we talk Bengals, Browns. And now we talk Ravens, Buccaneers.
Well, I like this outline. I think we got a good outline here that we can send to Coop and tell him, do it, do work, get to work,
bitch.
And so hypothetically, okay, do we still want to do hypothetically here? I also don't know that this is a 40-minute segment.
No, it is not a 40-minute segment. I didn't realize that we had it in there for 40 minutes. 8 to 8:20. Yeah. So we probably need something else there. Maybe another Q&A segment after hypothetically.
Everybody run.
Why?
Maria's here. So what are you doing? We're just playing in tomorrow's show. We're trying to decide if hypothetically should happen tomorrow or not. What would we do instead of hypothetically?
We're not going to do it Thursday.
Why?
It seems like there's plenty to talk about Thursday with Thursday Night Football and Alex coming on.
Friday is heavy football talk, I feel like.
Right. So that's what I'm saying is like, I like doing it twice a week, or to say it differently, I like doing it all the time, but I don't want to do it more than twice a week. I'm looking at the later days and I think it fits on Wednesday more.
Also, Nando sent me this feedback like a month and a half ago to add a third element. He said, where did he leave it? Oh, he said, Yeah, so they used to do like a hypothetically like game on their Funhouse show. He said you need a third choice that pulls back to fantasy. It elevates the game a ton. And so he said, so like A, your eyebrows burst into flames every time you fart. B, every time you buy cereal, the box comes to life and runs away, and you have to chase it through the store. Or C, all your teams this year must be comprised exclusively of players who suffered a high ankle sprain this week before or the week before. And so I want to try that format tomorrow, the 3 options.
Okay. Okay, let's do it.
Fun. But it's not 30 minutes. So why don't we just make match game 30? Why don't we just do 30-30?
Yeah, that works. And I imagine probably in between match game and hypothetically, there will be questions that we're answering. Know what I mean? Match game's a little bit hard to answer questions during. It's a segment that's a little bit more difficult to break up for answering questions from the chat. So I imagine whether we have it that way or not, we'll answer questions. Though, are you moving trade strategy in between hypothetically and match game?
I think that makes sense. I was just going based off. Dustin said move something in between match game and hypothetically, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, I guess that
does then move
hour
hypothetically to the back hour of the show. Are we okay?
But I think that's fine. I think that's fine, especially at 9.
At least at the beginning of the back hour.
And also, like, what are we basing that off of, right? Like, what are we basing that it shouldn't be in the back hour based off of? That's just like feeling, right? Like we don't.
Yeah, that's just feeling.
Is that most people are up and they might not be interested in hypothetically? That's an assumption.
Maybe. That is an assumption. Dustin also brought up earlier that it gives less opportunity for callbacks throughout the show, which is part of the fun of it, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. Let's test it. Let's see.
Let's try it.
Because we've never done it in the last hour.
Let's see how it feels.
So
let's see how it feels.
And I like not ending with it. I think starting at 9 and then we go into a football redo thing is a nice balance, right? And Jay makes a good point. Paul was said 100% on the balance side of being mixed between football and silly. And that also gives us 40 minutes to talk trade strategy, which we absolutely can.
Yeah, without a doubt.
All right.
So trade strategy, yeah, and then redraft, redo draft. Okay, this is a solid plan for tomorrow.
It's a solid plan. We'll see how it goes. We'll check back in. Appreciate the FYFers helping us out with the input. Let us know tomorrow how it's going. You know,
are we doing this again?
Maybe. Can't do it every day, but
not every day. But we're gonna try to do this more often, guys. It's fun to get your feedback live while we're doing this. Get your input.
Let us know if you liked it. You know, we don't want to do anything you don't like. So.
And Dustin, go get your kid. I hope from school and not because they ran away while you were watching. But go get them. Yeah, I think we're done here. Everyone, thanks so much for coming in and helping us out. JL, nice working with you, my friend.
Yes, sir. As always.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning.